Now I'd like to invite Ms. Michelle Nguyen with the Vietnam Coalition Against Torture.
Thank you, Dr. Tang. I'm Michelle Nguyen. I'm one of the co-founder and also the coordinator of Vietnam Coalition Against Torture, a civil society organization specialized in advocacy to abolish torture, ill treatment, and inhuman punishment. Thank you all for being here today at this press conference. Thank you for your kind concerns about the dismal human rights situations in Vietnam. Vietnam Coalition Against Torture wishes to bring to your attention the widespread calamity of torture and ill treatments by the Vietnamese law enforcement official. I'm here today hoping to be a voice for the voiceless, and very sadly, to speak for those who are no longer can speak because they have died. Their deaths were tragic and horrifying, yet the perpetrators who committed unimaginable level of cruelty enjoy impunity, while the victims and their family face threats and reprisals. Research by VNCAT tally 169 incidents between 2010 and 2018. Those include 30 cases of torture and severe police brutality and 139 fatalities. The number of alleged suicides accounts for 44% of all deaths. Of those 61 suicide cases, 47 were reported as hanging, which means more than 3/4 the number of all suicides and 1/3 of all fatalities. 14 by other methods, 13 died from unknown causes, 15 from illness, and 35 from lethal beatings. Another 15 deaths were due to various causes, include falling, drowning, electrocution, and police shooting. Impunity and cover-ups are rampant. In so many cases, no charge was ever filed. In some cases, the perpetrators were simply reprimanded, demoted, or transferred. And those who were prosecuted typically received lenient sentences on lesser charges, such as negligence or corporal punishment. On the contrary, the victims and their family often pressured or threatened into accepting unjust ruling by the authority and not seeking justice. An example is Mr. Ngô Thanh Kiêu. He was a victim of duress who died after was tortured for 5 hours. He died with 63 injuries on his body, which included fractured skull, brain hemorrhage, punctured lungs, testicular ruptures, and burn marks. His older sister appealed the case to the upper court, but then her family suffered from attacks and serious threats. Her husband was allegedly injured in a staged traffic accident. Her high school son was repeatedly attacked by bullies who demanded him to tell his mom to drop the appeal. One morning, the bloody body of a dead cat was thrown into her yard with a note that said, "Stop it, or your whole family will end up like this cat." The local authorities, however, refused to investigate those violent acts of terror. Prisoners of conscience are routinely held incommunicado during lengthy pre-trial detention, which not only denies the prisoner access to legal representation and invalidates the essential safeguards against torture, but also subject prisoners of conscience to physical abuses and psychological pressure in order to extract information and coerced confession from them. deliberate transfer of prisoner of conscience to location very far from their family are tactics frequently used by the authorities, aiming worsen the prisoners' isolations and punish not only them, but also their family by making prison visits more difficult and costly. Denial of medical treatments, and in the case of many female prisoners of conscience, withholding feminine hygiene products, constitute cruel and degrading treatments. As the corrupted regime in Vietnam becomes more and more relying on foreign aid, economic favors, and international trade agreements, more than ever, the developed and democratic countries have good leverage to influence Vietnam's policy. We welcome the decision of EU countries to postpone the vote on the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement. We call on you to please raise public awareness about the calamity of torture in Vietnam and to engage with the UN special procedures and your members of parliament and advise them about the dismal human rights situation in Vietnam. Trade must go hands in hand with principles and values. Economic growth must not come at the expense of human life and misery. Thank you.